Hello everybody, how are you? So I'm trying a new setup here, and I'm hoping that it goes extremely well. But knowing my luck, it won't. But I put a second monitor next to me here with the chat open and OBS open. That will hopefully mean that I can be more aware of my live status, my stream status, and all of those things. I'm also trying out Restream, which is a program that lets me go on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. I have my chat open through OBS, which is connected to Restream, so I don't know if those viewer counts and comments add up, and that's kind of what I'm trying to test. So in case it's something that I can't really do, I want to do a game that I haven't done really yet and is not, I guess, as involved. So this is kind of a test, but it's also something that I want to talk about. So I played this game a little bit a while ago, back when I had an Android phone, because I don't think it's available on iPhone. So I've been playing that. I played that a long time ago, and then I started randomly stumbling across a lot of videos for a game called Polybridge. I think Real Civil Engineer is one of the channels that I started following that was doing a lot of that. So I was really into it. So I bought it on my phone for $5, and I've been obsessed with that game. And then I happened to check Steam, and it was available on sale for like $1 something. This game. So I just started playing it again after a while, and I got way further than I did last time because I played Polybridge beforehand, so I had some knowledge of good practices when it comes to building bridges. And if you play Polybridge and you go to this game, it isn't a one-to-one type of learning curve. Like, if you're really good at Polybridge, you're not necessarily good at this, because this game is a lot more pro-jank than Polybridge is, and Polybridge is very pro-jank, but this one's even more so. Everything has an extra, like, wobble to it, because they kind of want things to be messed up, if that makes sense. So I played this, and I did get pretty far, and I'm not going to go through the painstaking task of redoing every level. We're just going to go back to level 1. I'm going to explain each level that I did, because I probably got 30, 35, somewhere in that amount levels in, and did the convoys and kind of 100%ed each level. So when you go back to 1, we're going to go through each level that I did, explain them, see, my logic and reason and all that, and then if this video does relatively well, then we'll go from there. Now, hopefully, like I said, my streams are going on both YouTube and Twitch. I don't think I even have Twitch installed right now, so I can check YouTube, and YouTube's working, so that's good. That was step number 1. Using Twitch would mean reinstalling it. My phone does a thing where it just deletes apps if I don't use them for a while. So hopefully this Restream chat actually works for both services, and this isn't like just a Restream exclusive chat or something. But I've wasted enough time. Let's get into it. So I'm going to go to select level. I got up to 39. Maybe I won't even do all of those. Hopefully my audio balance is good and you can hear this great music. But let's just start. Okay, so this is my first bridge. So this is a very much tutorial bridge. Now, both Bridge Portal, Constructor Portal, and Polybridge throw you into the thick of things very quickly without explaining much. So the first couple levels are very easy. They get hard very, very quickly. So the main thing with building bridges is triangles, especially equilateral triangles. They provide you with, it's the strongest shape. That's what I keep hearing, the strongest shape. So that's what gets you the best results. On this one, I mean, you could put a triangle here too, probably going from here. Oh, you can't because it's not long enough. So that's the reason why I did what I did here. One straight, and then you put the triangle here. More than enough to get a convoy going. So I guess because I'm using the free version of Restream, there's probably a watermark somewhere that says that I'm using Restream. But it's not on YouTube, so that's interesting. Alright, whatever. Not complaining. Level 2. Going speed round here. Alright, so what's the logic here? This time you have a bridge that's sloping a little bit up. Then it slopes down and you have to jump your guy. I mean, you might be able to build something like this. Truss it. You know, like that. But it's not necessary. Because you have all this downhill trajectory, you wouldn't even roll nicely down here. This thing's going to come down, it's going to ramp, and that's that. And this is stable enough. So let's go straight to the convoy again. You can see there's a little wobble, but not a lot of flex. And that's more wobble already than you would get in Polybridge. But we passed. Alright, level 3. This is going to test my metal. So this one is called Quantum Tunnel. So this is, it introduces you to two things. It introduces you to portals. As you can see, it's a portal game. So the basic premise of that is that you go through a portal, you come out the other one. In the game, it's, in the portal game, it's you go through blue and you come out the orange or vice versa. This game will change that, but for now, this is the basic portal premise here. But it also introduces you to suspension type bridges, where you use these cables to suspend your bridge and hold them rather than these, I guess they're steel pieces. Now, you probably can get away with building like an X here, and like a muscle here. Like this. And that would probably hold fine. But it is like a nice challenge to kind of keep your budget up here as low as you can. And stuff like that. So I kind of just play by the game's rules here. And just did a suspension bridge. Why not? It looks like I have a viewer, so that's at least tracking. But again, this will work perfectly fine with a convoy. It's only 3 cars, so let's keep going. Now, hopefully the video quality is good, because I was playing Assassin's Creed Unity, and, you know, the video quality on those streams were really good. Then I tried to play Rocket League, and I have a stream of Rocket League, and it was a fun video. But the video quality was absolutely awful, so I cranked my bitrate way up, because I can only assume that's the reason, because the game was running 1080p 60 FPS just fine. Looks great on my PC, but the stream quality, oof. It was terror bad. Alright, so let's move on. Colorings. This is the level that introduces you to now matching color portals take you through. So it's not like the original Portal game where it's blue goes into orange. Now, thankfully, you don't have to memorize different colors. Goes through one color, comes out the same color. That's basically the gist of it. You come through, and you can basically, I guess if you want, choose to go out the yellow over here. But if you come out the yellow over here, you're probably going to have to go through the blue over here. And the blue over here is just death. These red lasers, they're death. So just using kind of just a little bit of logic, you know that to get to the end, you're going to have to launch out of this red portal. You're probably going to have to go with pretty decent speed because you're going to have to fire out of it, right? Makes sense? So the best way to do that is to go out of the light blue, I don't know colors, and come on a downhill straight to that red portal, which will hopefully give you enough speed to bounce right out. And you can see all those little men just fire themselves straight into that. Works out perfectly. Works out perfectly. The bridge itself there is very simple. Once you get into later levels, it gets to be an ass ache. Like, just minimalistic, like, tiny movements here and there to get everything right. But right now, it's just kind of introducing you to functions still. Alright, where are we? Arches. I don't know why it's called that, because I didn't really do arches. I mean, I trust these things with their straight trusses. Actual arches are pretty unnecessary in this level. It's just following the portal. So you come through this blue portal. There's no other option. Come through this blue portal, which means you know you're going to go through the yellow portal, which means you know you're going through the dark blue portal, which means you know that you're coming out the end. The only thing that matters is, again, like I said, triangles are king, and just building a nice big truss with triangles was more than enough. If I cared that much about budget, you know, I would kind of, you know, go like this, make things cute, but this game, as far as I know, doesn't have leaderboards. That's the one thing that Polybridge has going for it. It has leaderboards. So what's the point of lowering your budget if you don't know how good you're doing versus other people? So, basic bridge. Let's go. Now you can see that this bridge on the bottom over here, I'm pointing to it even though it doesn't do anything. It's flexing pretty hard. And it's flexing pretty hard because, like I said, like a game like Polybridge, it kind of promotes that wobbly nature. So it is harder to build a very stable bridge in this game compared to a game like Polybridge. But let's go on to the next one. Checking stream health again. Is still flying. Looks good to me. Alright. No complaints so far. 6. Crisscross. Alright, let's see what we have here. So, on the face of it, we have quite a few options. So, we come through this, but this is closed. So this is introducing you to the button, basically. Now, the button is a thing that you press that performs some kind of action. Now, it could be releasing a cube, or it can be something like this. It can turn a laser off or on, or it can be something like this, where it opens and closes a door like this. So we know we need to hit this before we get to the end, or else we're just going to crash in. So our first priority is getting to the yellow portal. Okay, how do we get to the yellow portal? We can't go backwards. You see, we have an arrow here that tells you which direction you're supposed to go in. So our only option is to come down to the light blue portal and come out and land on a bridge and go this way, and you hit this, and then you come out here, you go down, and you come around. The only problem is you can't build a straight road, you know, here, because then you won't be able to get down to this portal, which is something that you need to do. So, you have to jump it. That's the only challenge here. In this case, we have a bridge that only has 2 anchor points. One's at the very end, and one's at the top. So, in theory, you can build a suspension bridge here, but it's been a little while since I played this level. I think the problem is that if you use a suspension bridge, when a car lands on this, it causes too much tension in the rope snap. So that's why I build these muscles. And if a muscle is something that looks like this. It's kind of like two triangles that are next to each other. It turns out this is a very strong shape. This is something I learned from like real engineering. This is something I learned from like proper channels. But it's definitely a helpful thing to know that these muscles, I don't know what their technical term is. I actually think it's in the best practices. Hold on. Best practices. Sister supporting struts. I guess that's what they call it. Sister supporting struts. Say that 10 times fast. These are very strong, and I will be using a lot of them in the coming levels. So you jump through here. You try not to clip that bridge. Then you move on. Your guy comes down here. Then he comes out here, and he's home free. After that, you just gotta hope that your bridges are stable, and you gotta hope that these guys don't hit each other. But you can see in this case, it's a little chaotic. One last guy, but it works. But you can see that bridge is a wobbling right there. But it worked. So next level. This is thrust. I don't know why they call it that, but the basic thing is kind of self-explanatory. Some of them are self-explanatory in terms of what you need to do, but they're kind of harder to accomplish. I would say this is kind of in that category. You have a road. You know that you can't come out here. You also know that you probably can't go around. The reason why you probably can't go around is because the anchor point is all the way over here, and that is going to be way too steep. So you can use this anchor point, try to build a narrower road like this. You know what I mean? Narrower wasn't the right word, but you know what I mean. You can try to build a road like this, where you kind of slope up and you kind of build a support like this and go from there. The problem is, that's just more complicated. That's a more complicated way to do it. You have portals here. So what would you do with the portals? You would come down here, you would build up a lot of speed by building a much simpler bridge right here, and you would build enough speed that you can launch yourself over. You build the second bridge here. You can see that I've really started employing those muscles. Here's one here, here's one here, here's one here. So those are things that I feel like I needed to do in order to get these bridges stable. But it works. And that actually turned out to be a very stable bridge. That worked out really well. When you have a situation where there's a car that's flying and it has to land, the more smooth the landing is, the better that bridge is going to hold up in terms of its condition and its likeliness to not break and stuff like that. You want to have a very smooth landing, so you have to keep that in mind. Next part. Okay. Vertical drop, level 8. So, I mean, you can tell by the title what they want you to do. They want you to drop vertically. Okay. They want you to do this. So they want you to go through this blue portal, drop down, and then that speed is going to launch you way up, and then you're going to hopefully go through here. In my case, at least, I had to build a little bridge. I think that's probably necessary for pretty much everybody, but your mileage may vary. The only thing that's a little tricky is that the car is coming down. You can't build a straight road. You can't build a straight road between these 2 points, because then once the car drops, it's just going to crash into the bridge, destroy it. Your convoy is going to be destroyed. Nobody likes that. So you have to build a little gap. Building a little gap, you could see it turned out to be a little building going on here. but it's still all triangles and muscles, right? So it's still the same in terms of principles. But luckily, they are at, this one's at a lower level than this. So you can build 2 straight roads, and that's basically all there is to it. And then at that point, the only thing is making sure your bridges are strong enough. Let's do it. You can see that there's red. I keep trying to point at the screen instead of pointing with my mouse. These are red, but you can see the bridge itself, other than the flex it had at the beginning, isn't really moving. These all miss each other, and they're all landing up here. This structure turned out to be very stable, and that's all there is to it. Another not too hard level. Okay. What do we have here? Super colliding super button. Okay. So, we have another situation where there's a door here. This door is opened by, you follow these blue dots, right? So boop 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 boop. Okay. This is triggered by hitting this red button. How do you hit this red button? Well, you can't really build anything in here, right? Like, that would get really complicated. So this is introducing you to these cubes. Staple of the Portal series. If you play Portal, you know what it's about. But this particular button, there's other levels where they drop by themselves. This particular button only drops when this button is pressed. So when this button is pressed, this will drop. This was already here. And then it'll roll, hit this button, open this door. So the main thing is, first and foremost, getting a way to hit this button. We're going to use the portals for that. We're going to drive up, build a fairly uncomplicated bridge other than it's supported up here, but you can probably honestly build it with suspension or build it without this. But again, why do you care about budget when there's no leaderboard as far as I can tell? So you come up here, you go through the blue portal, your car drives, hits this button, this drops, this opens, and hopefully all that happens in enough time where this uphill drive, which should take a while, so it shouldn't be that hard, opens this, and you go through, and then, like I say a couple times, the only thing at that point that matters is whether or not your bridge holds up. It's cool to actually see viewers on my screen. Even though I'm not physically doing the levels, I hope this is a helpful video, but feedback is appreciated. Next one. It's also a pretty old game, so I'm kind of just doing this for fun. I'm not expecting a huge amount of feedback or viewership, but it's still nice. So this is another button level. Okay. Let's see. So we have a red button down here. This red button opens this door, so it's kind of a similar concept. And you have a button that needs to fall in order to open that door. But this time, the work isn't done for you. You actually have to build a bridge yourself that can kind of angle it in that direction, because otherwise it's just going to fall straight down. It's not going to land anywhere near this button. Okay, so what do we do there? We have to come and hit this button over here, right? Because this is activated, follow the blue dots, by this button over here. Okay. So we build a very basic bridge that gets us across. Once we do that, we know we're going through the blue portal. Okay. We go through the blue portal, we come out this door. Problem is the structure of the anchor points, which are the orange squares. I guess I didn't explain that very much. But these are kind of the most stable points you have in the game because they're there from the beginning. So they kind of anchor you to where you are. So everything else is the stuff that's going to have to be supported. Do you know what I mean? And they're going to be supported, by and large, by these anchor points. So This is a very simple bridge. It's kind of just like that My First Bridge. This one's a little bit more complicated, but it's not that bad. I built some suspension over here. Probably was not necessary. But again, you can overkill this because there's nobody who cares about how well you actually do, budget-wise. So you come through here, you hit the button, this drops, you have to build something that will get it to this point accurately and in a decent amount of time. Luckily, this is an uphill, so it takes a while. And you just build a bridge. That's all there is to it. You can see that top bridge is very stable, and that bottom bridge is also very stable. Let me replay that, because you can see this really happens at like the last possible second. So, we hit this, cube falls, it slides slowly down, hits it, door opens at the last possible second. If I played with it, you know, I can probably make this happen faster, but since it worked on the first try, and it looks really cool that it happened at the last possible second, I just left it. Why not? Under Fire. Okay, so this level introduces the turrets. So the turrets have a cone of vision, and if you enter the cone of vision, guess what happens? You die. So you have to find a way to eliminate this. In this particular case, you have to straight up eliminate this, because the exit's over here. It's in the cone of vision, so the only thing that you can do is to get rid of it. Additionally, you can't build through the red lasers. The red lasers will kill the car, and the blue lasers the cars can go through, but you can't build through them. So that's the premise. Now, that was tutorialized when you first play the level, but I had to explain it. The bottom portion is self-explanatory because there's kind of only one thing you can do. I mean, let's say you weren't thinking, there are two options, right? There's go up over here, but if you go up over here, then your car is going to drive, and it's going to enter the cone of vision and get blasted. So that's not really an option. The only option is to go down. Okay. Goes down, and then it hits a blue portal. But what can you do with the blue portal? If you don't build anything here, it's going to go straight into this red laser, and you're going to die. If you build a little bridge like I built here, then it's going to hit the turret. The turret is going to fall and explode, and then you're home free. So that's what you do. You build a bridge down here, you go through the blue portal, come out the blue portal, you build a little structure over here to go and kill this guy, and you go to the end. The bottom is looking pretty stable. This is looking pretty stable. We killed the turret. We lost a couple people. This guy did a little flip, but it all worked out in the end. And we passed with a convoy again. I should also explain, when you first start each level, you just have to drive with one guy, and then kind of like the completionist version is to win with the convoy. There's some levels where it's very easy to win with one car. The challenge is winning with a lot of cars. What do we have here? Some of these I have to remember. Okay, so this is an additional turret situation. Obviously, the cars can't come down here. They'll die either from the turrets or from this red laser. So, that's out. Only thing that you can do is go through the blue, right? Okay, so you go through the blue. What are your options then? If you didn't build this, you would come straight out, you would come to the yellow, you would come out the yellow, and again, you would either die from the laser or die from the turrets. So, the only thing you can do is come up this way. You'll have a car that kills all of these turrets, and this looks really cool when you see 4 explosions. And then your car will jump, hit the yellow, and then the yellow will come out here. Problem is, you already built a ramp to get your car up here, but now suddenly you need a ramp to get your car to the exit. So you kind of have to build a structure like this, where the cars can ramp off either side. Does that make sense? Because if this was a solid road that took you up here, then the cars down here wouldn't be able to get up. So you have to build pretty equilateral ramp for this situation. But that's all there is to it. And it does look cool when you see all these explosions. So we have our guys coming through. This bridge is kind of anchored down here and down here. And I built a little thing around the wall for extra strength. And this guy drives through the explosion, looks great. And then we can see our second ramp works. Twiz is playing OVR Toolkit. Oh, you can't see that. See, that's cool. I can see I can see whether the overlays work or not because I have a second monitor hanging out over here. This monitor is filthy, and I'm gonna have to clean it because I haven't used it in so long. But it works. It works. The problem is my main display is a 50-inch TV. So, like any basic desk, it's only going to fit the TV, you know. Alright, what do we have here? The first part is obvious. You drive through here. The only option is to go through the blue portal. Okay. This introduces these green arrows kind of pointing up, these platforms that bounce you. And you can see kind of from the line, it's a general idea of how the bounce is going to go. It's not too perfect. But up here, the most obvious solution is just to build a suspension system. So that's what I did. And then once you come out here, you have to get your car to this. So I try to build a pretty smooth curve. I anchored it with some muscles down here, some muscles up here, and then basically a fairly average truss on top. And this held. On this side, I noticed that the cars kind of didn't make it all the way, so I built a muscle that's supporting just one road, and this was fine. Let's look. So you could see, once all the cars landing on here put a little bit of stress on this, but not too bad. Hits the wall, comes down. They all lose their passengers, but the cars themselves survive, and that's all that matters. And we win. I love it. Alright. Cube versus turret. Self-explanatory. It's a cube versus a turret. So which cube? It's not this cube. Oh, sorry. Because this cube, you can't build anything in here because there's no anchor points and it's behind one of these lasers. Again, you can't build from an anchor point through a laser. So this cube does something else. What does this cube do? It falls down here and it activates, not deactivates. See, this one's glowing bright red and this one's dim. So this cube's going to fall and activate this laser, which is going to prevent us from getting out. So that's not a good thing. We don't like that. So, what happens is, there's a cube over here that in theory can fall, launch itself over here, kill the turret, and knock this cube off of this button to re-enable the, to disable the barrier. I got there in the end. But how do we do that? We have to hit this button. So this button is through a blue portal. Okay, so we have to go through this blue portal. Because if you come from the other way, then you would have to somehow get your car up through here. By having it fall, come up through here, drive through here, and then it's going to be driving backwards through here. It just doesn't work. So the only thing that works is to build a bridge up here that goes through this portal, comes all the way down, hits this button, which launches this brick to get rid of the 2 obstacles over here, and then you continue to drive through. You're going to go through the yellow portal where you build a little ramp, and you go down through, what will hopefully be a deactivated force field here. As for the bridges, we build a suspension system here with a truss underneath just to keep it from doing this. That'll keep it nice and stable, and it's kind of small because we don't want to make it too much weight because it's being held up by rope right now. Rope is a lot better in Polybridge than it is in this game. This game, the rope snap very easily, so you have to be a little bit better. This bridge is a basic truss system. This bridge is a basic truss system, but with some added suspension for good luck. So choose what you want to look at here, because there's a lot of things going on. Car's going to drive through. It's going to hit this button. This button is going to fall. It's going to kill these 2 problems. Cars are going to go through the yellow, and it's going to be okay. I'm going to focus kind of on the cube. Are you ready? We go through the blue portal. We hit that cube. This launches. It goes over this ramp. It kills this, knocks it out of the way. This is deactivated, and all the cars coming down this ramp can get through. That's the level. Oh, God. I want to go back to the build for a second. I didn't really explain the ramp. The ramp is a little bit complicated because there is only 1 anchor point that's actually under the ramp. So I build a muscle to hold this part up. I build a truss to kind of hold this in its shape. But down here, there's no anchor point. So I just built along the bottom this kind of muscly mess down here. And I did the same thing over here because that's going to keep it from going down too much. If I hit test, see, this kind of wants to go down, but this system over here is keeping that from happening. So that's the point of that. I'm going to go with a basic drive again so I could get to the end here. Cerveza. We get to the next level. Sorry, I'm looking at my OBS, but we're at level 15. Maybe I'll stop at 30. I don't know. This introduces this orange goop that's on the bottom here. This orange goop speeds the car up. That's all there is to it. The problem with this level is that, in theory, you can just build a ramp, basic ramp. You can jump across and come to the bottom, but there's this red laser that stops that from happening. So we have to build a thing. Oh, very wonky. Again, this only has 1 anchor point down here, but you can see to kind of even out the weight, I put another muscle on the side that helps keep it from going this way or anything. It stays solid. But we have to come up and then back down. But that's it. Makes sense. I wound up not having to use any of this or any... Oh, I did have to use this for some suspension. But I didn't have to use this portion. That's all there is to it. For some of the levels, I might show the single drive first and then the convoy. But right now, I think it's fine just doing the convoys. That's it. Pretty easy, right? Next level. Propulsion gel number 2. So, the trick of this level, this one, you can already see the mess that's up here. The trick is that you can't come down here because you won't have enough speed to jump this gap. So instead, you have to hit this propulsion gel that will make you go faster, and then you can clear the gap. Self-explanatory, except there are 0 anchor points that are actually above this bridge in a direct manner. So how are you supposed to hold this bridge up? In my case, the secret to holding the bridge up was to build an absolute mess over here. Because there's 3 anchor points over here, and I used... These originally had ropes, but the ropes weren't going to work, as far as I could see. So I just built a big, muscly mess. And the entire point of this big muscly mess was basically to funnel a whole lot of support into one singular point, and then that one singular point was basically going to hold up half the weight of the bridge. Because I could hold up the first half with just 2 basic muscles. But the second half was a lot more complicated. I had to suspend it in a janky way. If we hit test, we can see how much stress this is going through. Oh, no! You can see this one right here really wants to die. But it holds. And it even holds while the convoy is going through. There's a lot of red over here. This never isn't red, but it holds. God bless it, it holds. And that's it. That's that. This introduces you... Okay, you can see the title is Bounce Baby. This introduces you to the blue goop. And when the car hits this, instead of going faster, it bounces. So the basic thing that you have to do is... If this bounces, it's not going to get this high up. You'll see in a second. So, when it bounces, instead, you have it go through this bridge, and then it comes out here, then it bounces from a higher distance, then it bounces higher, and it goes through. This is one of the things that's in the best practices, otherwise I wouldn't have used it, but it wound up working. Building the end of your bridge with rope and then connecting it to the point, because the ropes don't like to be sideways. They don't hold very well when they're sideways, but if you build a little extra rope along the truss, it doesn't work so well in the middle, but if you do it on the end, it works pretty well. Everything else is just a muscly mess, but it works. Let's take a look. And then you see the ones that are falling from a higher distance make it all the way up. This bridge turned out to be remarkably stable, given the situation. Been live for 42 minutes. It hasn't felt that long. I like it. What do we have? Oh god, this level. Oh man, this level sucked. I hated it. I hated it with a passion. Okay. Here's what you do. You have a car that speeds up, right? But if it speeds up without a ramp, it's not going to have the angle to do anything but bounce under this whole mess. If it bounces under this whole mess, then it keeps driving. It enters this cone of vision and it's dead. Right? We established that's what that does. So the only thing that we can do is try to build something that will have the car land at just the right angle, that it'll bounce up here, land here, kill this, come down, bounce up, land on a road, and then drive off into the end. Now imagine doing that all without having the cars crash into each other or causing any major stoppages or delays or anything like that. Getting this part in particular perfect enough that it had the bounce that I needed sucked. It was very difficult, and sometimes you really can't recommend anything because any slight difference in angle is going to change the way this whole bridge works. Let's start with just a drive on this one. So he comes up. Luckily this is pretty stable. It bounces down, bounces up in a way that it hits this, lands here, kills this, rolls off, hits the bounce, comes up, and is able to drive off. All the bridges themselves, except for this, probably could have did a better job with that, All the bridges themselves turned out to be fairly okay, stability-wise. But getting this to work with a convoy was a challenge. Bounce down, bounce down. See, that time, the next two just absolutely clear the platform that I built, but it wound up not mattering. See, these guys roll very slowly enough that the first guy gets out of the way, the second guy gets out of the way. They all get out of the way. Not fun. Some of these levels are not fun. That was a not fun one. Okay, high energy pellet number 1. So this introduces a new thing. It's these pellets. So if you see a structure like this, a pellet comes out of them. This pellet will destroy anything that it hits. Well, it'll destroy a car if it hits a car. So first of all, you don't want it to do that. Second of all, if you land them in these things, it acts as a button. It activates something. What does it activate in this case? A platform that raises that allows you to drive into this blue portal. And then you can drive across into the... You hit this button, you drive across into the end. So that also means that you can't build a thing that just goes straight up, because you have to hit this button first. That's called game design. So basically what you have to do is you have to build a structure here that causes the pellet to bounce off and hit this thing before the car has time to get down here. But you can see that it works. So, that's all there is to it. After that, it's just a matter of this bridge being stable. The bridge is stable. And we made it. Pretty low budget, too, compared to some other ones. High energy pellet number 2. Oh my god, this one. Oh, man, just look at it. Just look at it and behold. Okay. 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 So, we have a situation where there's 2 turrets with a huge cone of vision. So you already know that if the car is driving this way, they're just going to get annihilated. So how do you kill these turrets? Well, there's cubes directly above them that are activated by having these high energy pellets land in these receptacles, or whatever they're called. Problem is, they fire from down here. So you have to create a system building a stable bridge, harder than it looks, that, hold on, I'm going to go back to build for a second, that allows, that's stable, but allows these pellets both to go through. Okay, so once you build a system where these pellets can go through, you then have to anticipate where they're going to land over here based on what you've seen, and have them bounce off platforms built on the top that will allow them to bounce straight into these receptacles. Okay, you also have to build a bridge that has a gap enough that these pellets can go through, but also that has enough of a ramp that the car can get past. So that's just all the stuff that's going on in this half. Let's see if I was able to build, well, clearly I was able to build this part. Goes through this portion, bounce here, goes in, open door, and dead turrets. Okay, that's one half of this puzzle. Second half is that these don't go down and into a row, they go straight into a portal. So this portal is going to want to launch them straight up. If you don't build something here, then they're going to go straight back down and crash into the other cars. They might even go back through the portal. So that's not good. So you have to build a bridge that makes them bounce off onto a different bridge that they can then drive on. And you have to make sure that this is stable, right? So that's a whole other portion. This was the main pain in the neck, but this wasn't that easy either. Let's just do it with one for now. Bounce through. Come down here. Kill the turrets. Just in time. Jump over. Home free. Oof. Do it a convoy. You see they get tied up over here, but this turns out to be a very stable bridge, so it didn't matter too much. As long as they get over this gap, they're okay. Just made it. Level 21. Okay. It's going to drive through here. Then our options are to have it go bizarrely up here and then go up here, but then the cars, because there's 10 of them, are definitely going to hit each other. So basically, you know right away, the only thing that you can do is go through here, through here, through here. Compared to the last level, this was like a cakewalk. It's amazing that this level made it right after that absolutely terrible one. Woo! Click to start. Alright, so, where are we here? So, we see a blue line. The blue line, again, means that cars can go through it, but not any building. Right? So, we know that the only thing that we're going to be able to do right now is, first and foremost, go through the blue portal. Right? There's nothing else that we can do. There's no other portals. There's nothing else. Go through the blue portal. I built a triangle here. Probably don't need this, but I built it anyway. Why not? With a muscle. Stable bridge. Goes through here. And then I've kind of built a ramp that goes up. That then goes down. So it gets a little bit of extra speed. That little extra speed will have this go up. Hit kind of the front portion of the orange goop, which will speed it up, go fast through here, go up, and through. Not too bad. And you'll see that pretty much every car, because this is a stable bridge, every car hits about the front portion of this. They come up. They don't hit each other down here. And they go over. That's it. That's level 21 done. It was 21, right? 22, sorry. Oh my god, I'm just looking at this and I don't know what I did. Oh, this is a mess. Oh dear. Okay. Let me think about it. Car comes down here, hits this button, opens this, that hits this button, which will collapse this. So there's basically alternating cars. One has to go through this path, one has to go through this path. Okay. If I choose to have the bottom car go down here, it's immediately going to hit this red laser and be dead. So we know we're going to have to come up here, but we're not going to be able to build a solid road up here. We're going to have to build a ramp because there's going to be a car over here that comes down. We don't want it to hit the road. So far, so good. So we have the car that comes down the bottom. It comes up the ramp. This is deactivated. Once it hits this button, it's going to deactivate this laser but reactivate this laser. And then it's going to alternate. So it's going to be alternating cars activating and deactivating this laser. The main thing is to know that The bottom car goes up, the top car goes down. Right? And then they have separate bridges that take them to the end. Whatever. The problem here is, let's take a look. So on this side, I was able to build a pretty straightforward ramp for both cars. On this side, it just wasn't holding. So I built a muscle system from this anchor point, because it's kind of, there's only 4 anchor points. Muscle system from this anchor point that's going to just push that side over here and keep it where it is. But if I didn't support it, it would just collapse. So I built supports up here, and you can see that it's already screaming, but it works. Let's just do it with 1 pair of cars. Oop, you know what? Before I do that, this side you can see very low on anchor points too. There's only 3 anchor points on this entire side, and we have 2 ramps. So a truss wouldn't work on its own here because it would just go like this. So that was a non-starter. So I had to support it up with a couple of different points, but all that was doing was having the weight be enacted upon this bridge. So I supported that. There's no anchor points down here, but just by building, and you can see, ow! This thing doesn't want to live. But I'm just building them along the wall, basically. Now let's do it with a pair of cars. One opens this. Now this comes through, hits this button, deactivates this laser, this reenacts this laser, and they make it one on top of the other. Let's do it with the convoy. Ooh, you can see this bridge over here is just screaming. Positively screaming. Help me! Ow! I'm in so much pain, Johnny! Ooh. Well, we lost a lot of guys there, but the entire convoy made it through. Yikes. Level 24, Faithful Companion. Faithful Companion, because this cube is going to be our companion. So, what's the problem? If this car drops down and we build a straight road to get to the exit, we're clearly in this thing's cone of view. Okay, well we can't do that, so we have to come down here. Once we come down here, we hit a button. This button drops a cube. Now there's something interesting. We can push that cube to keep us out of the cone of vision and eventually kill this car. So, fairly self-explanatory, other than you need a ramp, because you can't build a solid road, because then the cars coming down in the convoy will destroy the road. So, this has to be empty for this to go down, and then we have to have a ramp that will have it hit this point. Beyond that, it's not bad. Let's do it with a convoy. We hit the ramp. Very stable bridge this time. And then this pushes it, can't kill us, and we just send it into the tube with us. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Next level. They'll sometimes like have a very hard level paired with a very easy level right after it. This one ain't too bad either. The only thing is, okay, let's think about what happens. We come down here, we get speed, we go across, we go through a blue portal, and then we go back out, and then we drive across. The problem is that if we had them all on one level, then the car that comes out this way is definitely going to hit a car, because there's 10 cars here that's coming this way. So we had to build like a double-decker system. You'll see that in theory, what I built was correct, but in practice, something interesting happened. Convoy. Caught a bug. Go through here. Alright, so now we're getting to the point where we're in danger, right? Somebody can get hit. And somebody does get hit. Somebody else gets hit. somebody else gets hit. But these cars push the cars that wanted to go this way literally through the tube. So there were 2 cars that flat out skipped the rest of the level because other cars just hit them and pushed them through. Let's see a replay of that. That's pretty good. We also have to hit this button, so we can't go up here first. For all that matters. Let's really look at the cars that are going this way right now. This guy's going this way. This guy's going this way. They want to go this way, but these cars push them right through. And that was it. So there was a luck element to that one. To keep that budget down, but it worked. Beyond that, it just works. And that was 25. Where are we at now? Sorry for licking my lips from a little cotton mouth. Change flight coordinates. Okay, so there is a couple interesting things with this one. This one took a while. Because you would think, in theory, you can't go down because of these lasers. So the only thing that you can do is go across to this bridge, right? The problem is, there are positively 0 anchor points down here. And there's 1 anchor point up here. So you would figure build a basic suspension bridge. But the problem is, you can't do that because there's these things over here. So you can't build. You can build a line here, but here. You can build it, but suddenly, like around here, you just can't build cables anymore. Oop. So what are you supposed to do? So I basically built a spring out of muscles and triangles down here. I don't know if this is the way you're supposed to do it, but it's the way that worked for me. These have enough strength, but also enough give that they will hold the rest of this bridge. And it was tough to build something that would do that, because I kept trying to make it work with cables, and it just wouldn't work. But you could see that that has a lot of give, and then after the initial plummet, it holds. It holds pretty well. Not in the red, just a little pink here and there. So this spring holds. The other problem is that one car was able to get through this just fine. One car was able to go from this end to this end. Let's also look at what happens here. So you go through the blue portal. This portal bounces you up into the air, but left to its own devices, it would bounce straight into this red laser and kill it. So you have to build something to stop that from happening. So this bounces up, hits this road, lands over here, and drives off. Slightly complicated thing, but not too bad. The problem is the convoy. So the convoy, you have a car land here. That's going to push it. I don't know if it's actually like this. It's going to push it this way. I'm sorry, my perspective and your perspective are mirrored. So it's going to want to push the bridge like this. So at a certain point, once a second car is added, a third car is added, the bridge is going to be more and more like this, and eventually this ramp is going to be down so far that it won't make this jump. Does that make sense? So the bridge is going to keep tipping. The bridge has a little lip like this, but if it keeps tipping and tipping and tipping and tipping, then eventually this isn't going to be much of a ramp anymore. So what I did to keep it from tipping too far this way was to build just a bunch of little joints on this side. And these joints are just a counterweight. It acts as a counterweight. This is a trick I picked up from the Poly Bridge videos too. But that's going to keep it much more stable when all these jumps happen. The problem is with this exact amount that I have, like one car is not going to be enough to get it up to where it has to go. I'm sorry, this is very technical, but what winds up happening is this. It gets weighed down, and the bridge does not work with just one car because this counterweight pushes this ramp down. But what happens is once this car comes and a second car lands over here, that's enough to push this up and get it to work. So this is a bridge that only works with convoys. It does not work with one car. See, the second car lands, keeps that held up, and now it keeps pointing up. So now even when there's only one car, it has just enough juice. And you see what happens here. Nothing I can do about that. I had to save the people. This was complex. This was complex. Alright. I think I'm going to stop at level 30. Yeah. 30 is a good number. Alright, so we have... Oh, this level. Oh god, I hate when I have to explain things. This was tough. We have this... I'm just going to call it a button. This button over here that activates... deactivates the laser down here. So we have to find a way to get this ball to bounce, get through the blue portal, and then bounce around until it gets to this. And it has to do it in enough time to deactivate this before any cars show up. Okay. I originally built this without any structure. And what happened was this would swing down like that. But I was able to make a way that worked, but it didn't work well enough. So I built this down here. And this still slides. But I just liked the way that looked, so I decided to work with that. So this bounces, comes through here. And then I built basically a little thing so that it would continue bouncing and make it to this part. Now you can see that with this structure, it hit the exact lip of this and had a straight carom out. If I didn't just luck upon that, I would have had to build a completely different thing. So that's the reason why like a lot of this is not much of a tutorial, because just stuff like that, having the perfect angle. But the way that it was, it bounces, hits this, goes up. Now I had to build an elevated platform because I had to make sure that that ball does not hit any of the cars that are going to be coming out, because it will destroy them. The problem is, as you can see, I built like a road down here because if you look, this is incomplete. I built a road down here and a road up here. It slides a little bit if you look, but it works. A car that drives through this, however, is going to destroy this bridge, but it wound up not being a big deal. Let's look at it with a convoy. This took a while. It's just about having the ball and the cars like not interfere with each other. Yikes. There were absolutely better ways to do that, but I did not. Level 28 on their heads. Okay. This is just a level where there's a lot going on. So, let's look at what the options would be, right? The cars are driving this way. So, our first thing that we can think of is to build a road across here. Not going to work. We're going to get shot. So we can try to build something that goes up here. And it goes through here, hits this button, makes this thing fall. This thing will fall. We build a ramp. Goes through here, kills this thing right here. And in the meantime, sorry, we also hit this button and kill this guy. The problem is, with this solution, we go through here, hit this button, kill that thing, go through here, hit this button, kill that thing. The problem is we also are going to wind up going through this portal. And there's a red laser here, a red laser here, and a red laser here. So there's no way that we can go through the yellow portal and survive. So even though that winds up with satisfying the requirement that we kill these two turrets, it's not going to work because our cars aren't going to survive the lasers. So what do we do instead? Well, our only other option is to go down. We go down here. We trip this button. This button releases this. This thing rolls down, boop, 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 kills this guy. Okay, we continue. Continue. Come out this portal, hit the button. This thing activates, rolls down here, kills this guy. Now we're in the clear. So we hit this, we launch ourselves over to this purple portal. We launch ourselves over to this purple portal. We go down and then we roll. After that, this stuff, even though it's a spaghetti mess, was fairly simple. I don't want to say it like that, but it was fairly like, you get it. You get it. So, because this is all just using principles that we used before. Lots of muscles and support. Let's just do it with one for right now. So this is what happens. This guy comes down. Pretty stable bridge. Hits this. This drops. This goes. This comes. This drops. This drops. And the turrets are gone right on time as this guy makes it through. Let's do it with the convoy. If one car makes this, because I made sure that these things are very stable, if one car makes it, they'll all make it. The only thing that matters is these cars not hitting each other. You also get cute dialogue from the turrets, which is weird to say, but that's how it was in the Portal games. Woo! It's hard to explain all these levels, man. 29. 2 away from being done. Okay. We have a car that comes out. Now, you would want to build a straight road from here to this portal, but it's not going to work because there's these blue things in the way and you can't build through the blue. So you build a structure that will launch your car, bounce, land. This is going to be very stable. The anchor points are all on the side, so building a muscle system to keep this held up was okay. It wasn't that hard, but it was, a thing. We go through this portal. We then have a car going very fast, and the only thing that it can realistically do is launch and hit this blue thing. If it hits this blue thing, though, it's gonna bounce and get destroyed by the red laser. So we built a steel pillar, basically, with a road on top. It's gonna bounce off and then go through. I think we can go straight to convoy here. This one wasn't that hard. This has a little bit of give, obviously, but it's not too bad. This is very stable, as you can see. And all these guys bounce off. This is a stable structure too. They all bounce off, land on this side, make it through. The other thing that you have to consider is when the blue cars come through here, they're going to be want to go this way, which means once they bounce off this thing, they're going to want to go this way. They're going to go backwards from where you want them to, which means that when they launch off that thing, even after they hit that roof, they have to have enough momentum to get through the exit before they want to start driving again. Because if they slow down enough and they start driving, they're going to drive in this direction, and then it's just going to be all over. Okay. Let's see how it goes with a convoy. So they bounce, come up here, bounce off this, hit that, hit that, hit that, and you can see that all of these cars have just enough momentum going backwards that it's okay. Getting that right is probably the hardest part of the level. Oh wow, we're ending on a real banger here. Gosh, I hate this level. Okay. We have a similar situation down here to a previous level where they hit a button, a platform comes up, and it alternates. So you're going to have two cars coming at two different angles. Okay. One car is going to come down here. It's going to launch out of the blue portal. You have one over here that's going to launch out of the yellow portal. Left to their own devices, because they basically engineered it to a point where this is a longer road than this one, they're going to hit each other in the middle, around here, I'd say. So you have to build a way for them to avoid hitting each other. You also have to build a way for them to make it into whichever portal they're going to come out of. So this one's going to want to come out of this portal pretty necessarily. This one's going to come out of this portal pretty necessarily. So you want to build something like this, where the blue car, because this is the way the supports work, the blue car can kind of bounce off this, but gain even more momentum through bouncing off something. This requires a perfect angle that will then have it come, and there's no shame if it kind of came down here and you have to build a little thing like this to have it roll up. But the way that I angled this was good enough that they went straight into the blue, and they narrowly avoid this. So they bounce, they come up, which means the yellow portal car goes under them. That yellow portal car hits this suspension system I built, goes through the red. This one hits this suspension. This one's very stable. Having these cables kind of hold them in place while these ones support the weight turned out to be a very, you can see, it really does not move. Turned out to be a very stable system. So getting that angle perfectly is the real key here. After that, it's self-explanatory. You have one car that comes out the purple portal, you have one car that comes out the red portal, and you are done. This is the hard part, for sure. This guy jumps up, he actually kills the dude, he comes straight through. And you can see the way it works. The poor guys just keep getting killed. But this ramp is so stable, considering that it's just ropes holding it together. After that, they just all come out here, and that's it. So I said I was gonna go to level 30, and that's what I'm gonna do. I hope I had 2, 3 something viewers fine by me. I hope that the people who did check in enjoyed it. And until next time, if this is a good series, I think I completed up to 39. I'll complete a few more levels, and maybe we'll do either some more tutorial, just replay style like this was, or I'll build some levels live. Because I'm not an expert, I feel like that would get tedious, but I'm up to whatever people want to do. So until next time, I'll see you when I see you. Bye bye.